My name is Engineer Queen Duribe. I would like to know from the 4 contestants, because I've not heard anybody talk about how they want to tackle IPOP, Boko Haram, and the insecurities that are facing the country currently. Secondly, Nigerians at home want to know how you people want to tackle the flood that is causing rice to be very expensive, because me, I love to eat rice. How do you want to make rice affordable for the poor masses to be able to afford? And people that have farms, that have poultry, that have their farms swept by flood, how do you intend to tackle that and make life bearable for the poor masses in Nigeria? Thank you.
Mr. Peter will be candidate of the Labour Party.
Thank you. If you look at the first issue, which you mentioned, issue of solving the structural problem, it has to deal with the issue of whatever everybody says, issue of diversification of the economy. Let me put it on record. The Nigerian economy is well diversified. Oil, as they measure, contributes less than 10% of our GDP. But the problem is that it contributes about 50% of government revenue and about 80% of our foreign exchange earning. Our biggest contributor to our GDP today is agriculture. If you look at our about 180 trillion economy, agriculture contributes about 4 to 1 trillion, which is about 20-something% of that economy. So it is not, it's very diversified. Our trading is contributing over 15%. ICT is contributing over that. So what you need to do, the reason why we are not getting enough or it's not working is that as diversified as they are not productive. You need to increase the level of production. That is the problem. That's what I was talking about agriculture. You can have almost 60% of the arable land uncultivated, and you still, if you're able to invest on the other areas, your manufacturing today is about 9%, it should be about 15%. If you're able to invest in the land, invest in this, and they're able to contribute to export goods. Just imagine if you can feed yourself. We are 220 million. Imagine if you take 1,000 and you can feed yourself. You can move at an average of 1,000 a day. By 1 year, you would triple, you would at least get your contribution of agriculture to about 80 trillion. And that will change the dynamic. So it's a question of how do you ramp up your production. That's why Labour is saying we want to move the country from consumption to production. It is critical when you do it. In terms of how many women serving in government, I keep saying you have to go to and check. Example, we have assured that women and youth will be the engine of our government. And that I've shown an example of how many women who have worked with me as governor. In terms of oil theft, I've said it openly, and what I'll do everywhere. Devolution of powers to ensure resource control. I have said consistently, I'll move Nigeria from sharing formula to production formula. And I'll show it, because there's so many countries, there's so many states here that cannot continue going the way they're going. Today we have a problem in Borno State. Borno State is 70.9 thousand square kilometers of land. That is more than Belgium, Israel put together. Yet, go and check their production in agriculture. Go and check what is happening in Borno State. There's so many things you can do with Nigeria, the vast land in the north. So, devolution of power and resource control, we will deal with, and we'll deal with it aggressively and ensure. I'm not happy with what is happening in Niger Delta. It's unacceptable. Look at what they're going through. We've exploited their oil over the years. We need to fix it. The remaining resources that are used to fix Niger Delta, while producing resources all over Nigeria, and every part of Nigeria can be a huge resource production center And that's what Labour intends to do. How do we tackle issue of IPOB, Boko Haram, or all agitations? I've said repeatedly, I will dialogue with every agitator. There's nothing wrong in agitation. I will consult. Governance in democracy is about consensus. I will consult, I will dialogue, I will meet everybody. Dialogue is normal. Agitation is normal.
With Governor Ifeanyi Okowa.
Just to get the questions right, because there are so many. About the structural crisis in the economy, there are so many issues wrong with the economy as of today, and it's been on. First, unfortunately for us as a country, we have continued to depend on oil. Even the oil with the gas, we are not even developing the gas component enough. We're still dealing with associated gas. All our natural gas in several trillions of cubic, we've not touched anything about it. And that is an asset that can truly lift us up from where we are. So we need to rethink our process. So once you have shocks in the oil industry, there's a big problem. The COVID came, we're in trouble. The COVID is out because the oil prices have gone up. When we ought to reap gains, because we are not refining, we are now in trouble also. So the whole thing is totally wrong. Unfortunately, we're not developing the manufacturing sector. We are not doing well in the agricultural sector. Everything is going definitely wrong. We need to rethink all this, and that is already well documented in our process, in our manifesto to Nigerians. We need to recreate the agricultural sector in a way that it works. We need to be sure that we're able to modernize our agriculture. Even when we have to get the private sector to come in to do commercial farming, we must also ensure that we're able to sit down with them to ensure that we have the agro schemes attached to their agro production and agro processing. Those things are important to uplift every Nigerian from where they ought to be. Then coming to women representation, we have spoken about that as a part of my presidential candidate has said that he's going to ensure that women have a minimum of 35%, and if possible, even exceed that. So women must be brought into governance because they matter a lot. It's not just the fact. Most women are also getting very well educated. It's not like before, so they can truly function in government. The issue about military and defense experience, I think we've talked about all that in security, but for my presidential candidate, having been a former vice president for 8 years, that's a lot of experience. It's important that we take note of that. Oil theft, and parties are quiet about it. I don't know about parties being quiet about oil theft. A lot of people have spoken about it severally. We've been talking about this for so long. And the fact that we don't even understand what is going on in terms of how oil is moved out and the surveillance system. I've been a very strong voice on that the surveillance system and the contracting they've been doing in the past have been very shoddy. Now that they've got the right set of people, things are working, things are being discovered. And all those things that are being hidden is now coming out. And then the military sector and the rest, they are now aware. They are already rejigging their system and trying to attend to the issues. So we hope that we'll be able in some time to meet with OPEC quota, which is just a little over 1.6 million barrels per day. It's not yet 1.8, but we are very far from there. So definitely, I believe that the right systems are in place, but we obviously need technology to further the improvement that we are seeing at the moment. On the issue of mineral resource and the people's right, we have always talked about this, even when we are not going back to full resource control at the moment. That it's important for the sake of competition that the states, the subnational governments, and the local governments should have more funds. They should have more powers so that they're able to be competitive and to develop their people because they are closest to their people. And you have to provide resources for them. We can't generate all the resources and the federal government takes 50-something%. It's not right. And that's why things are not functioning. It's as if everybody is coming to Abuja to take to share from the cake, and little peanuts are given to the states and the local government. It ought not to be so. The people must be recognized. Even the Petroleum Industry Act recognizes the communities where oil is produced, where there's a lot of suffering, a lot of degradation, and these persons ought to be rewarded. And because they have provided for the community fund, it's very important because it will help to develop the communities, the educational system, their infrastructure. But beyond that, the communities will also help to add to the surveillance system Because if there's any destruction of the pipeline or the pipeline is breached, it means that they are going to lose resources that would have come to them at the end of the year. So this is something that works in a circle, and it is good for our nation. They've talked about the issue of IPOP. It is something that we have to look into. What we're seeing there is that people, it's an agitation. So we have to be able to separate genuine agitation from criminal elements. Genuine agitation, I believe that the right process to do is to sit down with them and have a true dialogue on the pathway out. And I believe that we can reconvince every Nigerian that we can get back on the same path.
Candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency. You have been given an example of Borno State many times. I thought you would give an example of Nasarawa, where you launched your campaign. Thank you. Yes. Now, the issue of economy, the structure of the economy in the country. I will agree with the candidate of the PDP, at least in this area we agree. I can agree with you that there is need for diversification. The only thing was that PDP and the APC had the opportunity to do the diversification. Unfortunately, we find ourselves now in this mess. But I believe that this is the way to go. We have seen many blueprints. Unfortunately, they are not being implemented. What I want to assure you here and through you Nigerians is that we have got a very comprehensive blueprint. Not only we raised the issues, but of course we suggested solutions, and exactly that is what we are going to do. Everybody knows that in our group, in our party, if you say Konkosia or NNPP, you can also say Trust or Amana. So we are sure of that. Women, you see, the poverty that exists across the country, especially on the issue of women, is that there are many things that would have been done in this country. Unfortunately, we are not able to do it. The issue of education, especially in this part of the country, we have to encourage everybody. And that's why during my tenure in Kano, for the years I was in government, 8 years, there was no child that was not given adequate opportunity right from primary, secondary to tertiary education. In fact, during my last few years, we were even looking for Kano, we don't say indigenous, we say residents, to join our 2 universities that were established, Kano University of Science and Technology and Northwest University. Unfortunately, we have sent over 3,000 of them into 14 countries across the world. We selected some private universities in Nigeria, like Al-Kalam in Katsina, we sent 412, Ignidia University 300, Delft University 300 students, Crescent University 200, even Abti in Adamawa, despite the very high cost, we still send 25 to Abti. So during our time, including the girls, in fact we had special program for girls. We purchased hundreds of high capacity buses. All our girl child were transported from their homes to schools free of charge. We opened all the opportunities right from primary school, secondary school, tertiary institutions, and we gave them equal opportunities. And I believe this is a time to thank the people of Kano, especially the husband, the parents, and so on, who allow their children to go all over the world. And I believe that if we do that, we can easily eradicate the poverty we are talking about. I'm sure all the thousands of people that were being sponsored locally and internationally, now they are not in poverty. We call them stars, we call them scholars. So I think education is the way. And the issue of representation in our government, I think our history, our antecedents are there. We encourage as many women as possible to participate in government, but that is not enough. Even the cabinet itself, at national level, maybe 40, maybe 42, whatever number it is, depending upon the president, is a small number if you compare to the women in this country. We have a comprehensive plan of ensuring that there will be an empowerment. We have comprehensive support, arrangement in our blueprint on free antenatal care services and many other things that had to do specifically with women and children. Now, the issue of defense, experience in defense and military, I believe it is very critical, but I don't want to go too deep into that because of many obvious reasons. But the fact remains that experience in any area is very important. And that's why when I started, I told you I was 17 years in the civil service of Kano. So civil servant will be very comfortable, I'm sure, with Rabiu Kwankwaso. That was why I told you that I was Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps and I was Senator of the Federal Republic. In fact, I was Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps. Put together, National Assembly will be happy with Rabiu Kwankwaso. That was why I told you that I was Governor 8 years. I thought it was free to...
No, not you, sir.
Okay.
People in the hall.
No clapping. Please, just look very serious. That was why when I was Governor of Kano, as Chief Security Officer, we took all the necessary steps to ensure security for Kano. And Kano is well secured, and Kano is peaceful, and Kano is making progress in terms of even economic activities, even under this very harsh environment of business in this country. I believe the people there are doing well. And that's why many people will think that Kwankwaso has Kano intact. In fact, many people tried to go there, but they didn't enjoy the visit. I'm sure they must be happy that you are back to Abuja. IPOP, Boko Haram, everybody, it is there in our manifesto. Even though my brother sitting by my right here said what is in our manifesto, even though I didn't see it in his manifesto. So I'm happy. You can always take that's where they put us close. You can always pick or lift whatever we have in our manifesto, no problem. But what we said is what he's told us now. And I hope you will not change your manifesto because